So, guys, hi guys. So, let me just close these unnecessary windows. Okay, yeah, okay. So, guys, anyone having any previous experience with Jmeter, or you just starting from the very beginning? Okay. So let's start with. Okay, so let's start with the introduction to Jmeter today. So, as you heard of Jmeter, Jmeter is a product of Apache, right? So whenever things comes like whenever testing is required in terms of like performance, load testing have to be performed. So always load testing tools comes into picture. Okay, so Apache Jmeter is one of the best open source tool available in the industry. Okay, so it's a product of Apache, right? And it was like first developed by Stefano Mazzoshi of Apache Software Foundation, and it was designed to load test like non-functional functionality of application, like it is used to test and locate how application is behaving in terms of performance metrics such as response or response times, throughput, number of transactions, right? Which and this is used to simulate their concurrent users. Okay, so JMeter is one of the finest open source tool available in the market, right? So whenever things comes like testing a web server efficiently and how many concurrent servers we have to find, like how many concurrent servers one web server can handle. So these all things are being done with the help of open source tool only, load testing tool only. Okay, so JMeter. So JMeter is actually uh, Java open source software. Like it's entirely 100% Java application, right? So Jmeter is 100% Java-based application, right? So it doesn't require anything, any prerequisite or setup. It just requires Java to be installed on your system, right? Now, let's say if you are having Java installed on your system, so let's say you are very good to go and install Jmeter and start doing this stuff. Okay, so next, like we can use Jmeter in analyzing and measuring the performance of our web application, right? Or like web services or other different protocols, right? So originally Jmeter was released and used for testing web application or some FTP application, but right today's time with Jmeter, one can load test web application, that is HTTP or HTTPS, right? Web services, that is can be REST, SOAP. Next, like flex-based protocol. Okay, one can test your WebSockets protocol as well. Okay, FTP, LDAP, JDBC. Okay, and next, you can load test even your SMTP protocol as well. Okay, so with JMeter we can load test multi protocols. So JMeter is a multi protocol support, having multi protocol support, and is a and works on protocol level. Okay, so it have nothing to do with any like Selenium thing, like to detecting any elements using DOM structure or XPath, right? So JMeter works on protocol level. Wherever protocol is involved, JMeter can record your traffic, can record those things. Okay, so now let's discuss about JMeter advantages and features. As I told, Jmeter is an open source license tool, right? So it's an open source product of Apache, right? So currently Jmeter 3.3 version is available as a updated version in market, right? So friendly GUI, right? It's platform independent, so you can install Jmeter on your Linux systems, right? Your Windows systems, and even in Linux, you can install Jmeter on any variant like CentOS, Solaris, etc. Okay, and even on Ubuntu also you can use this. It's platform independent. It just requires Java to be there, right? So next is obviously it's using multi-protocol, supporting multi-protocol, simulating concurrent users, right? So it's full multi-threading framework, right? And visualize test result. So with the JMeter, we can visualize results. We can visually analyze results like transactions per second, hits per second, all those stuff, right? So we will be discussing in upcoming sessions everything, each and everything in detail, right? So installation is quite easy. There are no .NET framework things or any extra things are required in installation. Installation is very easy. I'll just show you. There are just 2 or 3 links, and you will be done with installation. So the first link is, first of all, we have to download the Jmeter from Apache Jmeter site. Okay. So here, just go to this page and just tap on this link, and you will be getting a zip folder containing Jmeter 3.3 entire structure, right? Let's say in case you are looking for some previous versions of Jmeter, so you can tap on this Apache Jmeter archives. Okay, so it will give you this. So let's say if you want to use your earlier versions, so earlier versions are also available, right? Similarly, there is a user manual also available. So in case you want to read about different features of Jmeter, so it's got clearly indicated. Okay, so this is important installation links, and installation is not that much difficult, right? But as I suggest, I will advise you to just not to work on 3.3, just work on 3.2 or 3.1, because previous versions are a bit more stable in terms of like forums also having solutions to post like 3.3 might can have some features that others haven't used, so you cannot have the inputs or you cannot have the proper support on the new things available in 3.3 or latest versions. Okay, so let me just show you how it looks like. Like okay, so now let's say the moment I will tap on this, okay, so this will start downloading. All right. Let me just cancel it and I will show you. I'm already having in my system. Okay. Okay. Now here is a packet. So this is like Jmeter 3.0 available version. Okay. So now once this packet is downloaded, just tap on the Apache Jmeter folder. Now you can see a number of folders. Just go to bin folder. Okay. And inside bin folder there is a Jmeter, there's executable jar file. Apache Jmeter is available. Just tap on it. Okay, so just tap on it, and your Jmeter GUI will be launched. Right. So now you can see your Jmeter GUI is launched. So there was no mess, nothing complex installations available. So now one can start building up test plan, right? Creating test scenarios in Jmeter. So everything can be is very easy, more like from installation perspective. Okay. So now let's come back to this again. Okay. So let's understand the basic functioning of Jmeter, like how Jmeter work exactly. Okay. So in Jmeter, the basic functionality, like the high level flow is like Jmeter actually works by simulating a group of users, right? It will be creating some virtual users. Those will be sending the request to a target server, okay? And then when the requests are being sent to target server and server respond back, so it get the statistical information of target server, right? And then through its entities available, those are called listeners, it generate the report in different format. Okay. Like it generate the report around like what was the number of virtual users, how many transactions performed, what was the throughput, what was the average response time, what was the 90 percentile response time. So these all information things we will be discussing in detail in upcoming sessions. Okay, so it gives a very good informational report also, like okay, so it create a request to Java server, server response back, Jmeter saves all responses to it, and then collect and calculate statistical information like which sample is having minimum response time, which is having maximum, what is the average response time, right? And any error rate was there, any errors were there in the test run. So all these things will be considered by the Jmeter. Okay. So now next is like so to like some do have the perception or some are not clear about this clarity, like whether Jmeter is a browser, it works like a browser only, or it's a it's a it doesn't provide the capabilities of a browser. Okay, so Jmeter we cannot actually say is like it's entirely a browser, right? But rather it's a like it's a subset of J browser. So it's having everything except like it works at protocol level, right? So browser is different from this, and let's say like browser everything is there like rendering of HTML pages, execution of JavaScript also is there, right? So Jmeter does not execute the JavaScript present in HTML pages, but definitely it downloaded the JavaScript available in the HTML pages, right? So similarly, it doesn't render even HTML pages or CSS as a browser does, right? But definitely it downloads those all elements available in the like your client request. Okay, so this is how like Jmeter is uh, different from browser, but yes, the cookie management, the cache management, everything, those things we can add to Jmeter to mimic a real like browser or like to mimic a realistic load test condition. So those cache management things, cookie data management things, header management has headers. We those everything are available in Jmeter. Okay. Like if it okay, so one query is, do we need to do any coding also? Like unless your scenario is not that much complex. Let's say your scenario is I hope like 60 to 70% we don't require any coding to be performed in JMeter. But let's say your scenario is you're creating a new story. Okay, you're creating a new story. So new story is containing a current date and issue date. Okay. So current date is your current date. Issue date is one date more than the current date. Okay. So now, like at the time of recording, like in JMeter, we record the request. At the time of the recording, when you recorded your flow and created one new story in your application, so the current date is 08. Okay. And issue date is 9, right? So now let's say there will be now multiple users will be there. Let's say 100 virtual users will be there. Okay. So, and you will be running the script on any other day. Let's say on 9th or 10th. So this hard-coded data will make your script fail on that day because in not even current date is 8 and not issue date will also be differ because let's say you are triggering or creating the new stories on 10th January, will definitely need these parameters to be changed in your client request, right? So to handle these kind of dynamic things, we need to code, right? So in this case, what we will require some a little bit Java code so that we can dynamically handle the dates, okay, right? So what we will do, like we will have two variables, current date, and with the Java code, we will increment and get like one date more than current date into another variable, let's say my future date, right? And then we can use, and then we can pass these variables in our script. So irrespective of whenever your script is running and your stories are getting created, now you will have a dynamic up-to-date current date available and your issue date available. Okay. So now for each and every user, you have managed, okay, whenever new stories is created, you will be having a valid current date available and valid issue date, right? So these kind of things are managed with the help of Java code. Now let's say you want to write something in your CSVs, in external CSVs, right? Now let's say you want to write logged in user information along with its name and its some ID in CSV file, right? So for that we have to write some code. We have to write some code to output those things, to output those things in external CSV. Okay. So in Jmeter, this all stuff we do with the help of different scripting languages available like Bean Shell, Groovy, right? So we will be discussing few examples of Bean Shell, like how we can output the code or how we can output the things in CSV, how we can update the dates dynamically, and moreover how we can perform arithmetic computations. Okay, so this all examples, few examples of coding level will be also available in our test plan. Okay, so need not to worry, everything will be practical. Okay, so now let me show some insights on the course. What will be in the course? Okay. Okay. So now let me just walk you through. Mm, mm, Okay. Yeah. So right. So as we are doing like first is about like Jmeter. Okay. So this performance testing overview concepts types that I will be just discussing right now. Okay. From next day, we will be setting up Jmeter to record the traffic. Okay. Then we will be start building a test plan, running it. Okay, then saving the test plan, how to search within the test plan, right? And how to add cookie support, how to add cache support, how adding HTTP request, right? Next, like how we can record using Jmeter, right? So how we can record specific URLs. Let's say when you're recording in your application, so uh, you will get a lot of requests, right? So how to specifically capture the requests, how to configure the browser for recording the test script. Okay. So next is like what is thread group in JMeter? What are controllers? These are different elements available. We'll be discussing. Okay. So in controllers, we will take up like different controllers, if controller, transaction controller, simple controller. Okay. For loop controller, once only controller. So four or five controllers we will be discussing, right? And thread group, we will be in thread group, we will be discussing like two or three thread groups as well, right? So next is there are samplers in Jmeter. So we will be discussing in detail about each and everything. What is it, and what what are the settings we have to do it, and what is the significance, what is the importance of this. Next, we will discuss around samplers, listeners. Okay. Next is timers, assertions, configuration elements, right? So day 10, we will be discussing how we can parameterize data, right? On CSV, we will be discussing how we can parameterize data when we have to run the test on CSV and or Linux systems. Okay. Now, next we will be discussing about some Jmeter properties, how we can use Jmeter properties, right? Similarly, Jmeter functions. Okay. Then there are assertions also available. We will be discussing assertions. All right. Next, like how we can run multiple scenario scripts within the Jmeter, right? And 15 day we will be discussing around about preprocessor and post-processor. Definitely that includes around like those coding examples, right? Then one session is planned around how we can test web services API testing through Jmeter. Okay. And then there are database queries, how we can load test database queries, right? And then how we can run JMeter in distributed mode. Let's say you want to run your JMeter from 5 or 6 machines, right? So that is a distributed mode. So we will be doing that, and we will also be running sharing. I will share some Linux and CMD commands to run JMeter in server client model, right? So uh, one session will be around like how you can monitor your server as well, because that is really required. Okay, so that session will be around server monitoring and other Jmeter settings. Let's say I will be sharing different Linux commands required to monitor the servers, how we can monitor through open source. There are profilers are there which fetch the server health like CPU, number of threads, memory, okay, garbage collection. So those all things we will cover in this session, like how we can configure heap settings for Jmeter, right? So those that all stuff will be discussed in here. Okay. So anyone having any issue or like looking for something apart from this. So this is all what we will be discussing in Jmeter course content. Okay. So anyone having any query so far? Otherwise, I will continue with introduction to performance testing. Okay. So let me start with the introduction to performance testing. Okay. So so the first thing is like introduction to performance testing. So what is performance testing? So the performance testing is actually a non-functional testing to determine the system responsiveness. Performance testingly, as the name suggests, performance testing as used to determine the system performance stability in terms of responsiveness, stability, reliability, scalability. Okay, Abhishek, our this basic and advanced course will last around 16 or 15 hours, right? Yes, and it will be like Monday to Friday, 1 hour each at 7 a.m. And it will take around 16 to 17 hours to get this Jmeter course complete, right? So definitely, like as it is off on Saturday, Sunday, so it will be consuming our 4 to 5 weeks. Okay. So, so the performance testing is a non-functional testing to determine the system performance in terms of responsiveness, how responsive our system is when concurrent users pop up, how stable it is, okay, how scalable and how reliable it is, right? So, importance of performance testing and like why performance testing is required in today's era, right? So, in today's time, no product is being shipped to production or it is live before or without performance testing, right? So it has now become necessity in today's era. Like performance testing is must for the system. Okay, so most users like click away after 8 seconds of delay. If the users are experiencing some kind of delay, right? So they will not wait to use your product, they will definitely look for other alternative available in the market as there is a lot of competition available, right? So performance testing make you stand different in the market. Okay. So if you have to be very stable in your market, in your competition, in your business, you would have to have a good infra and a performance tested infra so that your applications or your product is running efficiently. Okay, so like numbers indicate like 4.4 billion business revenue lost due to poor web application performance. So one example I have shared over here, that is failure of US based airlines computerized system to maintain flight planes in this. They fail due to poor performance, right? So business performance, as number says, begins to suffer at 5.1 seconds of delay in response time of web applications and 3.9 for critical applications, right? So, in simple general rule, like there should be no delays and your application cannot be compromised in terms of performance. If you want to conquer the market, you would have to have a good performance, like stable system. Okay, so there are different types of performance testing performed. Okay, So that is load testing, stress testing, soak, endurance, volume, spike testing, scalability testing, configuration testing. So, so the performance tests are planned or performed. Okay. So as per the requirement. So first of all, you start with just normal testing your application at very like low numbers. Like initially, you make out okay, what is the status with of your application with like very less number of users, like 5 users, 10 users, okay, or like you will have a benchmark of 1 user. Okay. So now in load testing requirement comes in this way. Okay. So let's say your product have given the requirement. Okay, this is our SLA or this is a requirement like on daily basis. The production they used to share the production workload. Okay, they says okay we are having 20,000 concurrent sessions in in a day. Okay, right? Uh, then they says okay what the users are doing. They're performing login. They're adding to cart, right? They are making checkout. They're doing checkout, right? After checkout, they are searching more products, okay? And then they are making logout, okay? So now this number this says okay now we want our application. They want to check like what will be the state of the application at this number when 20,000 concurrent sessions will be there. Okay. So now we have to simulate this requirement. Okay. And they will give you some more requirement like let's say they will say the average response time for every transaction. Okay. So this is how like your load testing test cases or requirement comes. Okay. So this is okay, login should be less than 1 second, not more than that. Add to cart, not more than 2 seconds. Checkout, not more than again 2 seconds. Search can take some time, let's say 5 seconds, because depending on the products, right? And logout also not more than 0.5 seconds. Okay, so these are all SLAs. Client is not expecting every response times to be more than that. Okay, and it is saying like at a load of 20,000 users, it should be my application state, right? Now this has become your requirement. This is your expected load. Okay, so when you will be performing your load test for 20,000 users and will be meeting out and will be checking whether your system meets this requirement or not. So this is called a load testing, right? You are actually testing your system against expected specified load. Okay, so let's say the moment let's say you have achieved these numbers, you have run the load test for 20,000 users, right? And you have measured, okay, what exactly was the number, and let's say the numbers were in the within the limit, like login was less than 1, add to cart was less than 2, and search was less than 5. So now what you will be doing, you will be progressing and will be asking your team to, okay, let's press the system beyond its limit. Okay, so we will be doing, let's say, double 40,000 concurrent sessions, concurrent users. Okay, so this is called stress test, right? So this is our load test. We are testing our system against expected load, right? This is our stress test. Okay, so we are testing the system against beyond the system capabilities, right? So next is our soak endurance test. Now let's say someone says like it's fine, like system is running good at 1 hour or 2 hour or 3 hours, right? Now we want to see whether system is stable when application is running for long durations. There are no memory leaks, right? And there are no connection database connections or Apache or web server connections problem, like they are creating, they are releasing efficiently. So in that case, endurance soak test comes into picture. So endurance and soak test is nothing. You are just running your load test for a prolonged duration. Let's say for 8, 9, 10, 12 hours duration. So in that case, you can see the system stability, like where how much system is stable, right? Whether some memory issues pop up or some connections problem occurs. So endurance soak test helps in those problems. Okay. So from the figure also you can make out like this soak test is going on for 24 duration, right? This is stress test beyond the maximum design capacity. Okay. So next is volume spike testing. So volume testing is like when you're testing. Volume testing is when we are testing our system against varying data. Let's say when we start our test during the load test, so database size was 40 GB, right? And when things come to stress test, at that time it has become 70 GB. Okay. So this is like we are testing our systems against varying database. Okay. So this is volume testing, right? So next is our spike testing. So now let's say spike testing is, let's say like we started a test for 5 to 6 hours. So initial 1 hour we were running for a lower distribution, let's say 100 users. And in next hour we have run the test for additional 400, 500 users. Okay. In the next 1 hour we have again relaxed users to 100, 200 users. And in next hour again we have just targeted the system to run for 1,000, 2,000 users, right? So this is like kind of spikes going on, like it's increasing for a duration, then it's decreasing for a duration. So that is all spike testing. Okay. So similarly, scalability testing is there, like to see, determine whether how much scalable
our system is. So that is scalability testing, and similarly, like configuration testing is there. So let's say now Java 9 is being released, right? So now we want to see whether our application is good with the new configuration changes like Java 9 and all that stuff. So in that case, the test will be performed to check the configuration checks. So that is called configuration testing. Okay. Okay. So some queries there from Vishay. Just hold on. Just give me a few seconds. Okay. So what is the query? How we read test data from XLS in Jmeter scenario and what kind of project we are taking. Okay. So we can read data from Jmeter using there's a configuration element available, that is CSV dataset config. Okay. So we will be reading the data from using CSV dataset config, right? And what kind of project we are taking is I will be creating a project on one very normal site, because otherwise in complex sites you will not be able to understand, right? So I will be taking up the example of there is one forum available, Jmeter enable, right? So Jmeter enable forum. So we will be creating our scenarios on this site. Like we will be creating login, right? And then one search scenario and then logout scenario. Okay. So in these three transactions, I will be explaining you each and every feature of Jmeter, how you can extract, like how you can correlate, right? How we can pass data from CSV, okay? How we can write data to CSV, like writing Jmeter results to CSV. That all stuff I will be doing with this. Okay. So now let's come back to this. Okay. So we are done with this performance testing types. Okay. So now next is prerequisites of performance testing. So there are certain prerequisites before performing the performance testing. Yes, in JMeter also we do have a correlation feature, but in like load runner we were doing with the help of web reg safe param functions. But in JMeter we have to develop a regular expression that will match the target string in the HTTP response, and that will extract it. So we will be discussing the correlation in detail. Not need not to worry. So everything will be in detail. Okay. So next, like prerequisites of performance testing. Okay. So the prerequisites of performance testing is like for performance testing, QA will have, or QA must have a stable and controlled build, right? And nothing should be going on that well. That build or environment should be dedicatedly for production, for performance testing only. Okay, and definitely that environment should be a replica of production. Okay, no other testing should be going on that. Okay, and performance before going live, the performance testing should be conducted. Okay, and the tester should have a complete understanding and knowledge of the application they are going to do test, right? They should have the knowledge, okay, what different type of users they are having, okay, like uh, whether their users are logging in and doing some activity, or there are certain users they're logging in and not doing anything, right? Or like what is the peak load? What is the average? Like what is the peak load of their application, right? So those all stuff like what are the most frequently transactions? What are the most frequently transactions for those in their application, right? And what different resource intensive transactions are there. So this all stuff should be available with the performance tester before they are testing their application because that will help in designing their scenarios, finalizing the scripts. Okay, so here's just a little glimpse, right? What is exactly available as a part of system in load testing. So the things start from your load generators. Things start from your load generators, right? So load generators are the machines from where your Jmeter will be installed and we will be generating the load, right? So those things comes to load balancers, right? Load balancers are machines which balance your load coming from multiple load generators. Okay. Next, after request comes pass through loads balancers, it comes to web servers, right? So web servers can be of Apache or some other like so the static content like login page images sometimes are kept on Apache only, right? So next for the business logic or dynamic content, the request then get forwarded to application server. Okay. So application servers are the core. They will be containing your business logic to be executed, right? Your war file your war file for the application will be kept on these application servers only, and like containers like Tomcat, JBoss, Kafka, they will be running on the application servers only. Okay. So next is your database server. So for database connectivity or database interactions, application requests from application servers will definitely forwarded to database servers. Okay, so database servers you can have like nowadays MySQL, Oracle, they all are not into picture definitely. So not only SQL, NoSQL DBs are there like MongoDB, Cockroach database, right? Cassandra. They are very highly scalable distributed database management system. So such database systems can be there like MySQL, Oracle. So those comes under database. Okay. So performance tester have to figure out the bottlenecks at each and every layer level. Bottleneck can be involved at ELB also, web server also, application server also, database server also. Okay. So this is the performance tester role to spot the bottleneck. Okay. So here's a simple performance testing cycle. Like we have to run it, we have to run a valid test, we have to analyze the report, and then we will ask developers and we have to optimize it. Okay. So there are the performance symptoms and issues as I said. Issues can be at application level, database level, web server level, application server level, and network level also. Okay. So this is performance tester role. We have to spot okay, some bad gateways issues are not occurring at ELB level. Okay, and Apache is properly configured. Like let's say if we have applied some filtering rules, like okay, these requests should be handled at Apache level, so that should handle at Apache level. No like overburden should be goes to this app servers because they're already doing a lot of stuff. So filtering rules should be occurring well at Apache, right? And whatever like login pages should be opening properly as images are kept on Apache web server. Okay. So database should be responding properly. Application servers, containers like Tomcat and JBoss or rest of the containers should be working properly. Okay. So we have to analyze each and every layer of the infra. Okay. So this is all like why, what, how we can make sure what is exactly happening in our system. Okay. So guys, I'm done with today's session. Any queries so far on today's session? So we will be taking up like we will be starting Jmeter from tomorrow, like recording our first Lotus script from tomorrow onwards, right? So for that we will set up proxy server setting. Okay, I will be discussing with you guys like how we can uh, set up the proxy setting and how we would record the traffic using Jmeter from tomorrow onwards. Okay. So any queries so far? Yes, documentation. I will definitely send you. Okay, just drop me your email addresses, and I will definitely send you the documentation. Okay. So there are 2 or 3 sites I will be sharing with you. Okay. Okay, guys. Have a good day ahead. Take care. Bye bye. Thank you.